Welcome everybody. Now, I'm typically a positive person, but today I've got to be negative because we're talking about negative exponents. Now, when dealing with negative exponents, there are two things that you absolutely have to keep in mind. First is when you're working with negative exponents, you can get rid of them by flipping the location of the power and then making it positive. So, for example, b to the negative second becomes 1 over b squared. But again, nothing to be squared of. Or 4b to the negative third becomes 4 over b cubed. Now, this is important because you have to realize that the 4 and the b are separate. They're being multiplied together, so it's only the power that moves to the denominator. Now, this also works the other way around. I can instead, if I have a negative exponent on the bottom, I can move that exponent then to the top. So for example, if I have 1 over b to the negative 2, that becomes b squared. Or if I have 5 divided by b to the negative 3, that b to the negative 3 moves up to the top and becomes then positive. Alright, so also keeping in mind that all of the power properties still apply with negative exponents. Alright, now let's look at a couple examples of how we can actually use negative exponents. First, we'll practice just writing negative exponents as fractions and decimals. To write 4 to the negative third as a decimal, let's first look at what it looks like as a fraction. Since it's negative, I write this as 1 over 4 to the third power. Well, if I do 1 over 64, I will then get my decimal of 0.015625. That all came from the fact that I could rewrite this as a fraction. Now let's just try to write this as a fraction, 9 to the negative first. 1 over 9. Now you try. Try the on your own question and then check your answer. To write 1 over 8 to the negative third as a decimal, I should first write it as a fraction. 1 over 8 to the third, which equals 1 over 512, which is equal to 0.0019, approximately. Now, as a fraction, 9 to the negative third is 1 over 9 to the third, or 1 over 729. Again, just practicing the basics of flipping the position of the power when I have a negative exponent. Let's try the back to look at some more difficult problems. Focusing in at the top, if I want to, say, rewrite a formula using negative exponents, I can simply move the power that's on the bottom up to the top and then make it negative. Now, in this example, there are lots of extraneous information. We can go ahead and focus in on just the formula. So let's look at f sub g is equal to g times m sub 1, m sub 2 all over r squared. This can be rewritten again by taking this power in the bottom and moving it to the top and calling it a negative exponent. So this would look like f sub g equals g m sub 1, m sub 2, r to the negative second. Let's look at example 3. In each of these, I'm asked to rewrite the expression using a single exponent. So, following my properties of powers, I would subtract my exponents because they're being divided. So p to the 9th divided by p to the 14th, I would do 9 minus 14 and get negative 5. Writing p to the negative 5th, I get 1 over p to the 5th as my final answer. How about the next one, part B? I have the same base, So I will add my exponents together. 5 to the, and then I have negative 4 plus 8, which equals 4. Okay, looking at part C, I've got two different quantities. Let's deal with them individually. First, I've got 4 times 2 to the 5th power, and that's all being squared. So both parts need to be squared. Okay, I've got 4 squared times 2 to the 10th. Remember my properties of powers, I multiply my exponents when they're being raised to another power. And then I've got 2.5 times 2 to the negative third. Okay. Let's do a little simplifying. This becomes 16 times 2 to the 10th times 2.5 times 2 to the negative third. Using the commutative property, I can rearrange my multiplication, and I see I do 16 times 2.5 times 2 to the 10th times 2 to the negative third. This will give me a final answer. When I multiply 16 and 2.5 together, I will get 40 times 2 to the 7th. All right, let's look at example number 4. Using my properties of powers, I will do 4 to the 4th, a to the 4th, 2 to the negative third, a to the negative third. My negative exponents get shipped to the bottom, and I'm left with 4 to the 4th, a to the 4th, over 2 to the 3rd, a to the 3rd. Also remember, when those negative exponents go to the bottom, they become positive. So my numerator simplifies to 256, a to the 4th. My denominator is now 8a to the 3rd. Since I have a common factor, I can divide. 256 divided by 8 is 32. And then because of my properties of powers, I can subtract because we have the same base. So 4 minus 3 is 1, so my final answer should be 32a. Let's look now at part B. Again, I have two quantities, and I'll deal with them separately. The first one I need to raise all to the negative third power, so I have 3 to the negative third power times e to the negative sixth power. This is now being multiplied by 5 to the 4th, e to the 4th. My negative exponents get shipped to the bottom, so 5 to the 4th, e to the 4th will stay up top, and I'll have 3 to the 3rd and e to the 6th on the bottom. This simplifies to 625 e to the 4th over 27 e to the 6th. Following my properties of powers, I will subtract my exponents since we have the same base that I'm dividing. So my final answer is 625 divided by 27e squared. Go ahead and pause the video and try the on your own questions and then check your answer. For part A, when it's all said and done, you should have had 2/3 y cubed as your final answer. And for part B, you should have gotten 2 over a cubed b to the 4th. Now, for a real challenge, try this one. You're asked to do many of the properties, and they almost all involve negative exponents. Tomorrow in class, we'll make sure you can all do this problem before you leave. That's it. I hope you have a great understanding of negative exponents. Come to class with questions, and we'll get started on the work.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room